Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here with the wife.
Hello.
And we have Tim Dillon and Joe Rogan talking about BlackRock and the fact that they're buying up all the houses. So Tim Dillon is going to go on a wild rant about that. And then the wife has some information. What is it about? It's a bill?
Yeah, there's a new bill that's coming out that's supposed to stop BlackRock and other companies from doing exactly this.
And we kind of don't believe that that's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely not.
I don't know. I'm very hopeful as always. It's some kind of solution at least, because nobody's been providing any solutions. Let's get into that clip. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got Sold Not For Sale. We got Public Enemy #1. We have The Great Resist, and we have many more. Jump on the site, check it out. Discount code IamCoachColin, all capital letters, all one word, one L in the name Colin. Let's get into it.
Yeah, what does that guy want? $4? Let's find someone to do it for $2.50.
So is this idea to try to compete with other countries that do this, like China?
That is one of the ideas. The other idea is to get a 9th sailboat.
Yeah.
It's people that go, where are our profits? How can we maximize these profits?
What's the bottleneck?
How can we maximize? How can
we
we
have
put
a
up
cheap labor bottleneck?
How can we put up 100 houses for just the material cost and a minute labor cost?
And what do you think about? There's a real. I think there's a bill that just got brought up where they're trying to stop these companies from buying up houses.
Yeah, BlackRock and all those guys.
And they're trying to stop them from doing that because they think that they're controlling the housing market.
Yeah, it's pricing single-family homes. These are the big problem. The big problem is single-family homes.
So here it is. Hedge funds have invaded the housing market. A new bill would ban them. A sweeping new bill introduced in Congress would essentially ban hedge funds and private equity firms from buying single-family homes.
There you go.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this prices out a lot of people.
Do you think they're going to vote on this? This seems like one that's going to be very interesting to see how they vote.
Well, it's going to be interesting.
Bill, which was introduced both the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday, would, over a 10-year period, require hedge funds and large institutional investors to completely divest from single-family home ownership. Called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act, the bill would require large funds to sell off 10% of their homes each year over a decade.
Well, basically what they want to do is create a nation of renters.
How do you feel about this, though? How do you feel about a ban?
Well, there's a lot of people that own those houses that are not going to be happy with the ban because they want BlackRock coming in and giving them more money than the house is worth.
How much more do they give them?
They can give them, 30% above.
Really?
Which is money.
And then they just lease those homes out.
And they lease them out. It's part of this idea that home ownership and automobile ownership and all of these things, eventually are going to be replaced by more effect. Whitney Webb is somebody I've had on my show, and She's wild. She's wild, and she knows her stuff. Patrick Bet-David had her on, and when she came on my show, she made a lot of great points about these legacy systems that people want to get rid of. And they go, rent a house, use Uber, Lyft, whatever. You don't need to own. What does owning do for you? That's that famous article. You'll own nothing and be happy.
Right.
So I think the ban would sort of put the brakes on that. I guess the problem is, a lot of these companies find ways around these bans. You got to remember, these are the smartest people in America that become, and I don't mean smart like contemplative intellectuals. I mean shrewd, effective sociopaths. They're really adept. When I say smart, I don't want people going, you think that. I don't mean that. I mean, they're very effective at gaming the system. They're 10 steps ahead of all these laws that are being passed. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to pass the laws, but a lot of these people are already anticipating that and then how to get around it.
I'm fascinated to see how that bill does.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they would put extraordinary pressure to make sure that bill does not get passed.
They're not going to allow that bill to get passed.
It seems like you're going to find out who's on board.
Well, again, when RFK came on my show and called out BlackRock, Vanguard, I know he did it on your show too, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street as these companies that own everything. I got a lot of messages from a lot of financial people going, well, everybody's portfolio is tied up in that. This is part of the whole issue with everything.
Right.
It's the Thomas Sowell thing. There's no solutions, there's only trade-offs. It's hard to get honest at this deep in the scam that is our financial system. It's hard. Any deleveraging, any winding down of the military-industrial complex, all of this will have ramifications in our society, financially for people, across the board. Anything you want to, I'm not saying you shouldn't attempt to do it, but anything like this, you go, I don't like illegal immigration. It's okay, your house is more money now. You go, oh. They go, okay. I don't want Chinese people buying real estate. Okay, well, maybe, and maybe the, real estate industry is going to take a hit not only realtors, but people that work in that business, right? Property managers, interior designers, architects, people that stage homes, appraiser, whatever it is, people might take a hit. This is part of the issue of where we're at now. You ban BlackRock and all those things from getting in there. That's fine. And then, you know, people will take a hit financially with their portfolios.
But do you think that how many people have to vote yes on this? Like, how many people are involved in this decision?
Well, it would have to pass 2 houses of Congress and then get signed into law by the president. Now, that seems very unlikely.
It's wild.
Seems very unlikely because BlackRock will have a great argument as to why they're helping people. They'll get out there and they'll be like, hey, man, we're here and we're buying these fucking houses and the people that we're buying them from love us. The boomers love BlackRock. The boomers will get on a BlackRock cruise with BlackRock shirts. The boomers, because one of the problems in the American real estate market is boomers will not sell their houses for anything under a $1.6 million profit. They just won't. They won't because they like to lord them. They like to lord around them. They like to make their kids feel guilty. They like to go, you could never afford it. They like to tell you how cheap the house was when they bought it. And then this is every Thanksgiving or Christmas, somebody will go, pick this up for $200,000. Now it's worth 1.8. Yeah. And then it's their millennial kids are sitting there saddled with student loan debt. And the boomers it's their last fuck you before they leave the planet.
Yeah.
They're a spiteful generation of monsters. I respect it. But their last fuck you before they leave the planet is instead of selling their houses for, I don't know, a $900,000 profit, they just won't put them on the market. Some boomers, which is hilarious, that we read the articles on my show, they're actually retiring to bigger houses. They're sizing up. It's sick. It's like insane. And so that becomes an issue too of like, you know, it used to be like you would have a house, the kids would move, you'd stay in it probably for another 10 or 20 years, and then you'd get a condo. And you'd go, I'm out.
Yeah.
The fuck do I want to mow lawn for? Yeah. Now the boomers are going, this is the only thing we have that makes us truly valuable in society is that we own this like a McMansion. And we're not giving this up. We are tax-paying citizens, and we are not giving this up. And our kids are going to come here every year, and they're going to suffer through the size of our house with 9 empty bedrooms while they live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and we're gonna chastise them for their decisions and their choices.
And the McMansion defines you. And your car that you drive up to the
That's
McMansion
right.
in, all that defines you. Where are you vacationing?
That's right.
Where are you going?
That's right. And they're going to go because they all bought those houses for very little money, and they are going to hold them over everybody's houses until they are found dead in them. They will not leave those houses until they're taken out in an ambulance. The most important thing for the boomer is to be right. And that's their main thing. They're not a soulful group. They've been around forever, but they've attained very little wisdom. It's actually kind of impressive. They're the most American generation of people that have ever lived. They're deeply selfish, self-aggrandizing, paranoid, delusional. But one of the things that makes them right is what they have. They go, well, how can I be wrong? Look at this fucking house. Look where we're sitting. I've got 13-foot ceilings. Don't tell me you know about Gaza. You don't.
I have to pee so bad I can't hold it anymore. I didn't want to stop your rant.
Let's pee.
Let's come back.
Okay.
Man,
What a
that's
crazy
amazing. I love Tim.
He hates the boomers.
His rants are just it's just unmatched. Unmatched. You don't know much about like older stand-up comedy, but like guys like Dennis, I believe it's Dennis Leary, Dennis Miller, guys like that, they would go on these wild political rants. My mom loved them. I forget which one is my mom's favorite. I think it's Dennis Miller. It might be Dennis Leary. I'm not sure. One of them is like my mom's absolutely. She loves rants like that, where they're just like aggressive and just insulting. And she loves it.
Sounds like your mom.
Yeah, exactly. If my mom talked more, she would go on rants
that's
like
probably
that.
like her internal monologue.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's actually a great point. That's exactly probably what her monologues were. She's very quiet about it all. But yeah, Tim Dillon. I think he's right. I think he's right about the boomers. I love how he's talking about them like National Geographics.
Yeah.
The boomer, the most important thing to them is to be right. And he's like painting this picture of this old person like, look at my house. Don't tell me about Israel. I was around when Israel started. That type of stuff,
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to be.
When he was first saying it, I was thinking like, oh, he must not have a great relationship with his parents. But I think he's a bit too old to even have boomer parents.
Yeah, well, Tim Dillon, 39.
What? He looks so much older. I thought he was like Joe's age. Sorry, dude. He looks a bit rough.
Me and Tim are almost the same age.
Oh no.
Think about that.
So he does have boomer parents.
Yes. Yes. He has.
And he's bitter about it.
He is a wild mom. I think his mom recently passed away. Not like recent, but like she's passed away. And then he has those boomer.
In her McMansion.
Yeah, basically. But let's get into what they were talking about. BlackRock buying up all the houses. I first heard about this from RFK.
Yeah.
I like that he mentioned him. He was the first person I heard mention it. And another person that mentioned something similar was Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, somebody was questioning him, and I only mention this because of how Tim brought up how, everybody's portfolios are tied up with them. And Vivek said something because he is in business. He's made billions of dollars. He was like, listen, because somebody was questioning on his involvement with people like that, with companies like that. He's like, listen, he's like, I had a public company. He's like, when your company goes public, they buy it. He goes, you can't control that.
Yeah.
They just buy it up. He's like, that's just how it is. He's like, if you have a company and it goes public, they buy. End of story. They just do it. He's like, and there's not much you can do about that. And that's very true. Because you can't bar them. Like, if you go public, you can't bar.
No, you can't.
I'm barring these companies, You can't do that.
No.
So it is a rough thing. It is a rough thing that happens. So can't stop people from buying houses. But I guess what's the main focus now? The bill that's supposed to be coming out?
Well, I found a website that kind of highlighted why this is an issue to begin with. And they're talking about specifically single family homes. So they're not talking about multiplexes. They're not talking about apartment buildings, just single family homes, because there aren't a ton of them.
Is it this one or no?
Yep,
Okay.
that's the one. So it says the statistics reveal a stark reality. In 2011, no single entity owned over 1,000 single-family rental units. By June 2022, large hedge funds and institutional investors held approximately 574,000 single-family homes. They said these investors often maximize profits through high rent increases, fees, and deferred maintenance, resulting in a decline in housing quality over time.
Okay.
So that's the big concern here, is that it's just kind of blown itself way out of proportion recently. And then they also went on to say that hedge funds purchased 27% of single family homes during the first 3 months of 2023. So of all the single family homes purchased, over a quarter of them were bought by hedge funds.
Did you say in the first 3 months?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. And that statistic was true of the past 3 years. I think it was 26% of all of the single family homes sold were purchased by hedge funds.
So, I'm looking at real estate pretty closely, and I kind of am constantly staying up to date with the percentages and, down payments and all that stuff, and what places make sense and which ones don't, what countries even make sense and which ones don't. Would this give them... They would kind of, I don't want to say are they affected when the housing market crashes happen?
Yeah.
Huh.
For sure.
Are they affected positively or negatively?
I
Because
would
if they have
assume.
so much money, when a crash happens, even if
Yeah.
it does hit them negatively, they can make it positive by buying up all the houses that then are at a lower price.
They have enough money that they can kind of float through it.
And hold,
Yeah.
hold through it. Huh. Interesting.
And also they probably don't have mortgages. So it's more likely they just purchased in cash so that their interest rates aren't affected.
That's
Which is what
interesting.
people are going through now with the interest rates going up so high. If they had a mortgage and then all of a sudden it was, 4% before, and all of a sudden it's 7%, that's why all these people are trying to sell their homes because they can no longer afford it.
Yeah.
But places like these big hedge funds, if they don't have mortgages like that because they have their own money backing them, wouldn't have that same issue. So they'd be able to buy more.
Huh. Interesting. That's that's kind of a ability to control things,
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't want to sound too crazy, but if you can, the people, because I've learned this from a friend who's heavy into crypto, and he's always he got so heavy into it that he was like, I'll be fine. Like when things would crash and fluctuate, he'd be like, okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He'd be like, it's just like a kind of rocky boat. He's like, but it's not like tipping me over. But like he would say things like that, and I'd be like, oh, okay, so he can just hold on.
Yeah.
And if he does hold on, it's all the better. It's like 100 times better than if everything was just like okay for a year. So they kind of have the same thing.
Yeah.
So they can. It's not that they can cause one, but they definitely would look at a crash. In the words of Warren Buffett, you look at a crash as a sale, more so than like this. Oh no, the sky is falling.
Yeah,
thing.
I would say so. So the bill is saying that over the next 10 years, what they would have these big hedge funds do is eliminate 10% of their single-family homes holdings.
Yeah, I was
per year.
I was grappling with that notion.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, is that what's happening? Yeah, they're not going to let that happen.
No, there's no way.
That's not, I couldn't imagine that.
So in theory, if it was to go through, it would force these big hedge funds into either different markets, so not real estate, or push them more into apartments, condos, that kind of stuff.
And at the same time, they're already in all sorts of markets.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked into that tremendously. They're in every single market. The housing one is one of those ones I think you wouldn't get into necessarily for loads of money, but loads of opportunity.
Yeah.
Like Tim Dillon actually said, he said, they want an economy of renters, just a nation of people renting.
Yep.
That puts you in a good position if you have that going on. You're in a very good position. Rather than every single person owning their own slab of land.
Yes.
Because then they can do what they want. And, comes along with what I talk about all the time about freedom and sovereignty. It's like, that's a huge part of it. Jordan Peterson, I would liken this to a house. Jordan Peterson once brought up, he was talking about cars and gas-powered cars versus electric and, the whole thing that could happen there. And he's like, I don't think anybody has any idea what a freedom it is to be able to get inside a car and no one knows where you're going and you can just go. He's like, nobody really wraps their head around what a freedom that is. And I think the same thing with owning land, especially because we're so close to it that it's such a great thing. Like a lot of people who already own a house don't look at it like that. It's
True.
like, yeah, of course I own
because they've
it.
already done it.
But for me, I look at it and I'm like, oh my God.
But for somebody who like aspires to that.
Yeah, you're like, there's so much that you can do, and it's yours. And you can make sure it's away from people if you want. You can do this and that. And it's like, you can build a wall if you want. You know what I mean? Like, you can do all sorts of things. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
They were also, they brought up BlackRock pretty much right away because that's kind of
main culprit.
Yeah, everybody likes to villainize them and use them. And when I was looking for information about them, their website came up and they have this whole page on why they're not the villain.
Yeah, I remember finding this.
It makes me laugh. So they said in big bold letters there, we want to make perfectly clear BlackRock is not buying individual houses in the U.S. It says BlackRock is invested in several programs that are providing financing to build new homes and add to U.S. housing supply.
Where does it say that?
A little bit lower, I think.
A little bit? Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Significant investor?
No, BlackRock is invested in several programs that are providing financing. So basically that's what they're saying is they're financing construction and development of new homes.
Yeah.
But then they're purchasing them.
Yes.
So that's kind of how they're able to say
going around
that they're not buying existing freehold homes. So that's kind of interesting. And it says, additionally, BlackRock invests in multifamily properties, apartment complexes, and other residential real estate. So they're saying they have quite a large holding on everything.
It's so funny, like you say, like it's like setting the record straight.
Yeah.
And then it's like, additionally, we invest in multifamily. And anybody who like was on the side of like, they're buying up everything. They're like, yeah, I know. Okay.
That's everything.
Like
exactly.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is what you're doing. And it's probably not just them, which is also really bad because that kind of spreads out this net that they have.
Yes.
It's other hedge funds as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's actually one called Invitation Homes, which is considered a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust.
Oh, was that website I was looking at?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
So for anybody who doesn't know what a REIT is, basically people just put their money in, like they invest in it, and the REIT goes and purchases a bunch of properties. And this one happens to act as like a rental agency. So they have a ton of single family home properties that they rent out all across the states.
So they got Chicago, Carolina. I was looking at Houston, seeing what they got over there. They have places everywhere.
They own more than 80,000 single family homes across the country.
Really?
Yeah.
80,000.
And it also says ownership from hedge funds is usually concentrated in certain areas. So while it's only 5% of the entire nation's housing stock that is owned by hedge funds,
Yeah.
they tend to concentrate their ownership in Black and Latino neighborhoods.
Oh, really?
Yes. Which is not great.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you say that because there's this real estate guy that I follow. Remember the big fat guy? I don't even remember what his name is.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how he started. He's like, I would just buy up Section 8. He's like, in the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I would just get as many units as I could. He's like, I'd have to fight for the rent all the time. He's like, but that's how he made his bones and figured out how to manage properties.
Yeah.
Because that's where he would go and that's where he would concentrate. And a lot of people in real estate, because I follow so many, they do talk about that being the opportunity because within Section 8 there is subsidy, so you're guaranteed at least part of the rent
That makes sense.
that's going to be given to you by the government.
Yeah, so they're being a bit sneaky about it. And it says specifically that yes, they purchase entire blocks.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
And it's odd because at the same time I have that aspiration, but I have different aspirations. Somebody was actually picking me apart in the comment section because I was like, I would love to have an opportunity. I want to be one of the biggest landowners in Texas. That's what I want. I want one of the biggest.
Yes.
You know why? Not just because of that, because they might leave. They might just be like, we don't need this place. We're going to be our own country. They could do that one day. They really could do that. Just saying. And who knows what that would do to their market. But I want to be one of the largest there and then only sell it back to people who are like generations deep from Texas.
Yeah.
And have stuff like that throughout the U.S. Where it's like you own a huge part of Detroit and it only goes back to people from Detroit. And somebody was like, oh, but what about this and that? And I'm like, I don't care. I want it to go back to the people who are from those places. Like, it just makes sense. It just makes so much sense to me. I don't get it. You don't want to sell it to some firm that's China, Russia, whatever. You don't want to sell it to something like that. You want to sell it to some people.
Yeah. You want to sell it to somebody who's actually going to live there and enjoy the land and add to the local economy.
And live the dream.
Build the community.
Yeah. Live that dream of like owning land and being part of a community, like you just said, and building up and, and possibly owning more land eventually. Like, who knows? But I don't know. When I see all this, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, right? It's crazy what people are doing.
I'm aspiring to be like one of these people. I guess I'd be like the good version of this because I don't want it to go back eventually.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want a Section 8 block, but because it is mainly Latino and Black, I would try to incentivize. I would try, because I am a coach. A lot of people think this is like just like Officer Tatum, the way he was like I'm actually a coach operating. Like I have a coaching session tomorrow, and I would incentivize people by like doing coaching programs for the kids.
Yeah.
Like if all your kids attend this coaching program on integrity for the next 10 weeks, like I'm going to knock off $100 off.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. You say things like that all the time.
Like that would be a good thing to do. I would like that. And then if you can get 10,000 people to do that who are all like in real estate or have the money for it, it's like you could change a generation of things really easy.
Yeah, you can change an entire area.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Can you open the, I sent you a link from CNN Money as well.
CNN Money. This one?
Yeah.
Business? Okay.
Yep. So these are if you scroll down a bit, it shows the top 10 shareholders for Invitation Homes.
Here, I'm going to shrink this a bit so everybody can see some more stuff. Whoa.
And after BlackRock was so adamantly pushing that they're not buying single family homes, this is their way around it. Keep scrolling down.
Okay.
It'll show you all the top.
Is this it? No.
Where is it?
1 year stock options.
There they are. Is that them?
Oh, yeah. Invitation Homes, Weyerhaeusen.
Oh, no. Keep going down a little bit.
More.
Oh.
No, this is the end of it. It has to be that.
Okay, well, it says top 10 specifically at one point.
Oh, really? And you're saying this is the way around it in what sense?
Yeah, BlackRock is number 3. So they own, I guess it's 6.6% of the stake in Invitation Homes, which doesn't sound like a ton, but the value is $1.347 billion.
Yeah. So they own stake in this renting company, Invitation Homes.
Yes,
Huge
who is
stake.
the notorious one for buying up 80,000 homes in the U.S.
See, and this is the thing when it comes to stuff like this. Like, when you talk about it and you are saying things like they want a renter's economy and this and that, it's really hard to make sense of it until you start doing work like this. Until you can, like, show people, like, okay, there's this company, okay, they do a lot of renting, okay, they own 80,000 properties, they own stake in it, this company owns, like, you have to really break it down for people.
Yeah. And the number one shareholder is the Vanguard Group, which I think they also mentioned in that clip with Tim Dillon.
Yeah, because one of the biggest stakeholders in Vanguard is BlackRock.
Exactly.
So, like, they're
like, number one for Vanguard. So they have their hands in everything. But it sounds like they're just trying to keep themselves clean for perception.
Yeah, optics, right? Because it's not just for the sake of they're trying to keep their optics clean for the investors.
Yeah.
Like, investors don't want to be a part of something that's, like, getting all messy.
No, exactly.
They want to be a part of something that's legit and looks good, and it seems like and could arguably be doing something good for the country. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel good at night with their investments.
Yeah.
Even people who are, like, invested in, like, defense contracts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They want to feel like, I'm defending the country.
Sure, everybody thinks they're doing something good.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people don't care.
Yeah.
It's just about money, numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
There's also been, like, if somebody asks why is it so bad that Invitation Homes is buying up all these houses and renting, there's been a lot of issues with them and their rental houses.
Yeah, you were saying people are complaining about the landlords and whatnot.
Yeah, like, it's been all over the news in quite a few different areas like Sacramento, Arizona. There's a couple other news stations I don't recognize here. But they say there's, like, mold, sewage, water leakage, nails poking out, infestations, broken appliances.
Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, not to defend them, but, like, so many landlords are not great.
Agreed.
So many. I wonder often when I'm watching all the real estate people that I like and that I learn from how good they are to the tenants. Because I always hear about how they do it, how they collect money and how much money they're making and everything. But I often wonder, like, how good are they to their tenants? You know? Because it's like, who knows? Like, just because you're good online and you have this online persona that looks so great and clean and you're money making doesn't mean that you're doing right by people.
Yeah.
Like, there was only one guy I saw in real estate so far from all the podcasts and stuff I watch. He makes everything automated. So he has little sensors hooked up to pipes and all sorts of things.
Oh,
so
I've
if
seen
anything
that.
goes wrong,
Hell no.
it just alerts him. Like, he doesn't have to, he knows before they do.
Yeah, and that's for, like, water leakage and things.
Yeah,
right?
and like, it's more. He does more extensive stuff, and he's trying to get other landlords to do that as well. But then another landlord will look at it and be like, "It's another expense. I don't want to do it."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'd rather wait until they notice, because I got other things to do.
Yeah, but it's like they can say that all they want, but, like, if a pipe bursts and
yeah, it's a problem.
There's water flooding into your property, like, that's a lot more expensive than the initial investment.
That's what he's trying to get across. He wants to do it so he could be good to people, and also it's good to your own pocket as well. He's trying to see it from, like, both sides. He's like, use this automation, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he's getting to the point where he's even having it automatically, like, there's another automated thing where it sends out somebody.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, like, so it's not even, like, something he has to deal with and this and that. It's just sending someone out. They like it because it's automatic business. Client likes it because it's an automatic fix. And then landlord likes it because it's not in their hair.
True.
So it's like, but he's 1 in a million.
Yeah.
I've seen nobody else doing this.
There's also been several lawsuits against this Invitation Homes just because of kind of sneaky business practices. Like they have on their website is where you pay your rent. And then
this is the thing you were telling me.
Yeah, so sometimes, apparently quite often, their system goes down, but then they'll penalize you if you're even a minute late paying rent.
So that I know what that is. That's just an incentive to do it early. That's what that really is. That's an incentive to, whenever it is ready to go and up online, do it. That's what it's. I'm not saying they're doing it purposely, but it kind of works as an incentive to them.
Yeah.
Like, you should do it right away.
Which still isn't fair, though, because if they have a
No.
deadline, they have a deadline, and that's what
Yeah.
it is. And then if they're even a minute late, they charge $95 fee,
Interesting.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah. See, the whole thing's ridiculous. So what else do we have on this whole topic? Because I have a few websites here. Oh, this was the one that Jamie brought up, eh?
Yeah.
How does it feel sometimes when you do this research and you're like, I found a website, and Jamie already had it up? He's like, I got it.
Yeah, well, we're doing the same kind of
He's-
research, right?
He's the best. He just has it right away. I'm always surprised when I see that. I'm like, wow, Jamie did it.
Yeah, that's true.
He pulled it up so quick.
Yeah, so this is just talking a little bit about what the bill would be and what the actual stipulations they would put on these companies. So they define a hedge fund as someone who has more than $50 million or more in net value or assets.
Oh, really?
So it's quite a large company. So this wouldn't hurt private real estate investors
Really?
unless you had more than $50 million in
So-
holdings.
So theoretically, it's going after the big guys.
Yes.
So what if I am a big guy? I got $1 billion, and if I want to take the time to break them all into $40 million funds, because I know I could do that if I had the right team around me.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably could.
Interesting.
You probably could.
I think at the
There's
end
always
of
a
the
way
day,
around things.
when like what Tim Dillon said, what things have to do to get passed. Like a lot of people get upset about a lot of bills that are brought to the table, but they got to go through a bunch of levels in order for it to happen. I don't know if this one will make it through.
I don't think it will.
Simply because here's the thing. It's like we could just say that it won't make it through, but why wouldn't it make it through? Well, it's because it has to go through the Senate, Congress, I believe. President has to pass it, and then you have to think they're all people, and who are they all getting donations from, contributions from?
Who do they personally
just-
have their portfolio invested with?
That too. It's so many people. So if it's just a few people that are like, hey, this really hurts me, all it takes is one conversation from one person that this really hurts me in my business. And it's like, oh, well, now I don't know if I can vote. And it gets dangerous. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is really hurting somebody that's been good to me. And I helped you get in. So I need you to do what I'm going to do. Can you also get Becky to do that as well?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I bet you there has to be more than one senator or congressperson on a board of places like BlackRock or Invitation Homes.
maybe not quite on the board, because that might be a little hefty for them. Maybe
I don't
not,
know.
Maybe not on the board, because that would be quite big. And I think the people on Senate who have the biggest net worth, I think it's Lindsey Graham, and there's maybe a couple other that are in the 100 millions. I just feel like if you were on the board, you'd be in the 100 millions of net worth.
Maybe.
And there aren't too many people, so maybe not on the board, but connected to somebody.
Definitely.
On the board. That would make sense.
Yeah,
Because
there's no way
people
it'll go
that are
through.
on the board would be people who either you don't hear about, or someone who has ownership in Fox, literally like a Murdoch, like Rupert Murdoch and his son, or people like that get into that position.
Yeah.
Because that means you're really close. You're really close to the head of it. They're not. Senators aren't like that.
No, that's true.
There was actually James O'Keefe had someone do not a sting really, but they recorded somebody who was a recruiter for BlackRock. And he was saying all sorts of things about senators and stuff.
Wow.
He was like, they can be bought for 10, 20 grand.
Huh.
That's why when you say on the board of that, I'm like, nah.
Not if they can be bought for 10 or 20
Yeah,
grand.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that. So
I honestly don't even think this bill should go through.
It's
I think it's kind of a slippery slope.
Yeah,
and I think there's some different ways that we should think about curbing these investment companies.
Because you were saying something about it not being too Republican, but other people could see it as not too American, like it's against capitalism.
Yeah, that's just kind of what I think. Like if we're preaching freedom in all things, then I think the government should keep their hands out of the market.
Yeah. See, that's yeah. There's arguments to be made. It's so hard because at that point, if these companies have the ability to turn the whole nation into renters, something should be done to stop that.
I agree. I'm sitting kind of firmly in the middle here.
Yeah, it's hard.
I think they should do something else to deter them, like maybe put higher taxes on properties when they're purchased.
Yeah, but to
or
who?
If they're
to
not
hedge
the
funds?
individual, tax the purchaser if they're not the individual homeowner.
Okay.
But then make some stipulation for small investors.
See, that's the thing. That's why it was interesting what RFK was saying, because he was talking about some percentages just coming down. He's like, there's certain powers that the government already has to bring down certain percent. I forget what he said, but he wanted to bring down some percentage. He wanted to bring it down to 3%. Like just naturally. I think he was talking about in terms of what you have to put down on a home. Something along those lines. But yeah, there has to be something that they can already do.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like passing this law is one thing, but there has to be something they already have in their power to do. That's already there.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Like I see it as like there should be like a tiered program. Like if you have, 0 to 10 properties, you don't have to pay any additional tax. If you have 11 to 100, then you have to pay another 10% into a fund that would help people in some way purchase new homes.
Yeah, but
like a new homeowner incentive.
Then again, like when I'm the billionaire guy, I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna keep it under 11. I'm just gonna have these shell companies, and each one of them are gonna have 10.
I guess, but that seems like so much work. But it's like, I don't know.
Work for what? Work for millions of dollars? I'm good. I'll work for millions of dollars.
But then you have to pay.
I'm the billionaire guy.
Like all the taxes.
I already do
for
work.
all those individual companies.
Yeah,
which would add up too.
But you're the billionaire guy, so your accountant's like, yeah, no problem, don't worry.
Yeah.
You have those individuals, and I'm going to tie it up into this one thing that isn't touched by this, and then you're going to pay less anyway. Like, they have all sorts of...
I know they have ways to do things,
right?
But I still think it would at least get something in.
And then you're like the billionaire guy, and it's like, this 10 is owned by this company or entity, and this is owned by this, and this is owned by this, and then it's all a holding company that's here, and it's actually this, and it's...
So basically, there's no solution.
And then all of a sudden you throw the Bahamas in, and it's like it's actually owned by them, and now all of a sudden you're 1% tax, and it's like crazy. Mm-hmm. It gets wild. But who knows? Who knows? There should be some kind of solution though, because the whole thing of you'll own nothing and be happy. I mean, this goes right along with that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's not a place you want to be in. What else you got?
No, that's it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think in the comment section? Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. If this should be something that the government handles, or maybe they shouldn't have been able to do this in the first place. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this whole thing. And other than that, like, share, subscribe, and share again. We can't tell you how much that helps the channel. You have no idea. And other than that, we're out.
Bye.